anybody's told you this, but the playoffs are not far away because the calendar's turned to October. Welcome into the Midstate 48, everybody, powered by Miracle Auto Group. Chris Brooks with you again for week number 8 of the TSSAA regular season in Middle Tennessee. I've got Scott Burton and Cam Reed with me. Guys, hello.
Good afternoon.
Yes. Playoff time is near. The leaves are changing. It's getting cooler. You have to have a jacket on when you walk outside in the morning.
It's football weather.
That's right.
It's football
Y'all
weather.
just stomping all over my doggone.
Well, Scott, have at it.
No. We'll wait.
Oh, my goodness. Week number 8, the official midway point of the regular season, or the whole year, not the regular season, but the official midway point to the championships in Chattanooga. So,
hey, we got our ticket punched today. So.
Yeah, I think we're among the first to secure our spots down there for the Blue Cross Bowl. So,
yep.
We got our accommodations ready. We'll be down there in December, and a lot more about that to come later on. Let's look back at Week 7. Cam, you were on the beach. I'm not going to worry about you.
I think Cam's still there a little bit.
Maybe a little bit, yeah. Considering the photo he showed us before we came on the air, I couldn't understand it.
Yes, beautiful.
Yeah. So, Scott, you were over at Smyrna Friday night, and Cane Ridge. We've talked about them, and they're doing what they've been doing all year.
Yeah, they're we've always talked about how good their offense is and how good their skill position players are, but what a lot of people don't know about is how good their defense is. Their linebackers are fast, they're quick. The defensive ends got to the quarterback quite a bit. They were able to keep Arian Carter pinned in for most of the game. That defense is really, really good. This is a team to be accounted for when you're looking at the 6A playoffs. I don't think they're going to be an easy out for anybody. And really the thing that really grabbed me more than anything was, the way the players talked after the game. There was a lot of there was a lot of, we've heard Eddie Woods talk about things. These kids are echoing those same things, and they've bought in. They believe in the program. They believe in each other. This is a team that is a true team.
Yep. Certainly playing good football right now. They have Overton coming in on Thursday night, a game which I will be at for coverage on Thursday. So looking forward to seeing them in person, and Overton as well, because we haven't talked a lot about Overton, but they have played really good football the last month or so as well.
Yeah, and arguably without their best athlete in Juice Majors.
Yep.
Somebody that, we don't know exactly when he's going to be back, but we do expect him back at some point. And when that does happen, Overton's going to get better.
Yeah, on both sides of the ball, too, because Majors is a big player on offense and defense. So, his addition is going to be like a free agent addition for them for the stretch run. If he comes back this week, and we have no idea if he will, then it could make that game even more fun. And we'll talk about that one and who you got as well. Cam, a couple of things that I know that we noticed even while you were gone. That 4-2A race, we talked about it all ad nauseum, and it got another turn. Charleston County lost at Harpeth, and now that 34-year playoff streak is on life support.
If pretty much you said it exactly right. There's still a very slim hope for Charleston County that would go completely vanish with a Watertown win this Friday night over Harpeth. The Jackets would need Harpeth to beat Watertown, and then for the Jackets to beat Whites Creek and Watertown to get in, and that is a unlikely scenario, but it is still possible. Charleston County gave it their best shot, up 20-7 to start the fourth quarter, wound up losing that one 29-28 on the road. Just had things snowball on them there in that fourth quarter. And then at the top of the 4-2A race, East Robertson found a way to get it done against Watertown in overtime, 12-6, to really set up what most have been talking about as the region championship game on October the 14th at a place called the Rock Pile in Westmoreland, a game that we will be at some of us will be there. Believe we have an announcement coming up later on that one, but it's definitely a game, probably the biggest game in our area in 2A for the state.
Well, we just go ahead and announce that one now. The East Robertson Westmoreland game is our spotlight game next week, and will be on Friday night over there in Westmoreland, not too far from my hometown. So be glad to get back up there for once and check those guys out. More on that a little bit later on, and also we'll talk about those teams later. And who you got? Why don't we go ahead and give away some awards for last week? I'm going to pull up this Player of the Week vote because we had 8 finalists for the Miracle Auto Group Player of the Week. And in no particular, alphabetical order, obviously, Colby Barnes from DeKalb County, 356 rushing yards on 30 carries and 5 touchdowns, as DeKalb County beat Livingston 48-0. Clarksville's Jamar Carnell, 216 yards, 5 touchdowns on 25 carries. The Wildcats ran over Hendersonville 56-36. Father Ryan's JoJo Crump for the second straight week makes this list, 14 of 29 for 267 and 3 through the air. 172 yards rushing and 2 more scores on the ground, even though the Father Ryan lost at Knoxville Catholic 43-42. London Humphreys from CPA, 10 passes caught for 276 yards and 4 touchdowns. In that wild game against FRA, the Lions lost that one 39-38. DCA's Ashton Jones, 22 carries, 311 yards, and 4 touchdowns as DCA beat Clarksville Academy 47-6. And a Northeast pair, Brandon Phillips had 4 catches for 200 yards and 4 touchdowns in that victory at Northwest. Jaden Puig, 14 of 18 completions for 308 yards and 7 touchdowns as they won 54-6 over Northwest. Finally, Traquan Waters from East Nashville, 284 yards, rushing 2 touchdowns on 32 carries as they won over Green Hill. The fans have spoken, and they have selected Colby Barnes this week for their vote for Player of the Week. Tom, unfortunately, not here with us this week. He was going with Colby Barnes as well. Cam, you went Colby Barnes as well.
I did. Second week in a row for me picking Colby Barnes. What he's been able to do there for that DeKalb County football team is remarkable. With them losing quarterback Briss Trapp, everybody writing them off, and now here we are in week 8, and they actually, as we'll see here in a moment, I believe they make an appearance in the AP top 10 for the first time this week, and that is largely due to the performances of Colby Barnes over the last 5 weeks, really carrying this Tiger football team.
Yep, there's no suspense now as 3 out of 5 with Colby Barnes, and Scott and I are also going to throw our names in the hat for Colby Barnes too.
Yeah, if you get 356 yards, that's a Player of the Week stat right there. You get 356 yards when everybody knows that you're going to be getting the ball. When you've had 5 200-yard games in a row or 4, and everybody knows you're the key, and you not only get 200, you add to it. Yeah, that's a hard stat to beat. To me, it was a no-brainer, and it appears that it was that way to everybody.
Yep. Well, it is unanimous. Colby Barnes from DeKalb County, our Miracle Auto Group Player of the Week for week number 7. Congratulations to Colby. We've got some hardware they're going to be dropping by very, very soon. Cam, you mentioned those rankings, and while I get ready to pull those up, some changes, a lot of the rankings this week up and down the top 10s in some of these polls. Starting 6A, Oakland's got all the first place votes, but everybody else except for Collierville changed places. 8 of the top 10 moved after week number 7. Ravenwood moved up 3 spots to number 3. Cane Ridge up 4 to 4th. Blackman is 8th, dropping 2 spots after losing to Oakland, and Centennial jumps into the top 10 for the first time at number 9. Outside the top 10, Smyrna, Lebanon, Beach, Brentwood, and Overton are getting some votes outside the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, maybe one of you guys, I know they're not in our area, but maybe one of you guys know this. Maryville lost a region game Friday night. I don't know when the last time that happened.
That would be 2000. It would be the last time that happened.
And then, of course, we always have things that we nitpick on these AP rankings. I'm going to look at more teams outside of our area, I know, but it's kind of silly to me. Houston and Bartlett. Bartlett beat Houston Friday night, and Bartlett's not in, but Houston is.
Yeah.
There's going to be a theme of this coming. Just
Yeah.
wait on that.
I mean, and I can't speak to those two, but I would think that to me, Beach, they've done everything they should be on this list somewhere. But we'll see how it winds up.
Yeah. But they are starting to get a little bit of consideration, at least for that list, which is
I'm glad to see Centennial on this list. 6-1.
Yep.
Only loss the Friday night that lasted till Saturday morning for most teams in a game where they had a lead and then wound up losing on the Saturday morning, 17-14 against Independence. That Centennial team is really good and could very easily be 7-0 right now.
And Ravenwood will be their opponent this week, and we'll talk about them a little later on. Look at 5A there. Page and Knoxville West still occupy those first two spots. Page is second. Nolensville up 1 to 4th. Mount Juliet up 2 to 7th. And Springfield tumbled 5 spots after the loss to Henry County, and one which I don't think that they should have fell that far, to be honest with you.
Oh, no. That's crazy. You lose a 1-point game to Henry County on a 2-point conversion.
And that game was an OT too.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, no, that's ridiculous.
Now, let's give a call to Portland because they are getting a vote in this poll this week. So White County and Green Hill both dropped out of the top 10 and didn't get any votes to show for it this week. So
2 monster games coming up for the Panthers of Portland. Back-to-back weeks, they play Springfield, I believe, at Springfield, and then they host Henry County. And that'd be the October 21st and 28th, the last 2 weeks of the season.
Yep, big for them. They're unbeaten in the region and still have a factor in that region race. Over in 4A, Procona's holding steady at 6th. Macon County dropped 2 spots to 9th after their loss to Upperman. DeKalb County in at number 10. And then let's see, that's it for local teams in the votes.
Look
Huge
at
week.
the bottom. Well, I was just saying the bottom 4, all from one region.
Yep.
And they all play each other this week.
Yeah, fun
So
times.
Macon plays Stone and Upperman plays DeKalb.
Yeah,
and also a top 10 matchup this week. Pearl-Cohn plays Marshall County.
Yep, 5 and 6. Yep. So more changes coming next week. Just wait for that. Over in 3A, Alcoa and East Nashville flip-flop back to Alcoa at number 1. They got more points this week than East Nashville did, even though East Nashville had number 1 last week. Smith County at 9 and up a spot this week from 10th.
They're creeping on up there. We thought that they would make it a little bit higher up the list. Now, I don't think that climb is quite over with yet.
Yeah, Fairview outside of the top 10 getting some votes as well. We look over at 2A. East Robertson up 1 to 6th, and that is it for the top 10. Westmoreland just outside getting some votes as well.
I still don't understand. I mean, they've lost to Macon County, a top 10 team in 4A. They've lost to Smith County, a top 10 team in 3A. And that's it.
Yeah.
They've beaten Portland, which has a vote, in 5A. I don't understand it.
Yeah, over at 1A, Gordonsville is just outside the top 10 getting votes, just a few points out of 10th and 11th.
Another one just right outside, but they beat the number 10 team by 21 points and was up 42-7.
I kind of noticed this week that there were some voters who hadn't voted much in the season now starting to send some votes in, and I think they're a little behind in their homework, as we're about to see here in just a second. Over Division 2. All right, Division 2 Single A. Top 5, there's still the top 5. Jackson Christian and Grace Christian swap spots this week. Check the others receiving votes for just a second and tell me what stands out to you guys.
Mount Juliet.
Is that a winless Mount Juliet Christian team?
That is an 0-6 Mount Juliet Christian team who has scored 21 points all season, getting votes over DCA. Who didn't do their homework this week?
My gosh.
I'm just going to go out on a limb. I'm just going to go out on a limb. Those 8 votes, they're from Wilson County. I would guarantee it.
There are 19 teams in Division 2 Single A. There's no reason they should be getting any votes. I'm sorry. I mean, it's not an offense to Mount Juliet Christian, but no, they're an 0-6 team. They know where they are.
Right.
I just that's got to be coming from somebody who doesn't. It was just throwing votes in there just to do it. That's if you're going to vote, take it seriously, folks. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say. Ran over on the double.
No. Keep ranting.
No. We're done. We're done for that. Like Scott, I said it was a mini rant. Okay.
I know, but I like to see you get worked. I like to see you get worked up. You're passionate.
Of course
You're
you
passionate.
do. Of course you do. It comes in short bursts. That's what I'm saying. I'm not built for speed. It happens quickly, folks. It happens quickly. Over in Double A, FRA jumps into the number 5 spot, replacing Boyd Buchanan, who dropped out from 4th. Lipscomb Academy is unanimously number 1, and as well they should be.
Yeah. No real big changes there in Division II Double A. I'm pretty content with that list.
Yeah, Triple A kind of the same way. Ainsworth up 1-3 over McCauley. Sends up
one thing that I will say about AAA, including me, a lot of people are overlooking that Baylor team that just beat McCauley.
Yeah,
that Baylor team is the real deal. With Will, I believe it's Will Muschamp's son is the starting quarterback there for the Big Red.
The thing with NBA is that they're going to find out because they've got Baylor left to play, they've got Ainsworth left to play, and they're going to get some more tests before this thing's over. So they will have earned every first place vote they get if they keep winning these games.
Yep.
All right, let's take a quick break, then we'll talk standings in each region after this on the Midstate 48, powered by Miracle Auto Group.
Hi everyone, it's Jim Galvin, Miracle Ford, your Ford dealer in Gallatin, Tennessee since 1980. Great news, beginning now. When you need service, we can come to you.
Our mobile service van comes to you wherever you are, whether you need oil changes, lube, routine maintenance, warranty, filters, wiper blades, batteries, bulbs, recalls, and more.
Visit our website
or call us now.
Are you ready for a miracle?
The great thing about October is that we can really start to look at these playoff standings from a region versus region standpoint. I want to do that this week. Starting at 6A, regions 3 and 4. We all talked about Lebanon possibly winning that region. They're not going to win this one because of the loss to Coffee County. But now how these things are starting to shake up over in region 4, there's chaos between the 3 and 6 seeds. And Rockville, Riverdale, Stewart's Creek, Siegel. Stewart's Creek is the one who can throw a monkey wrench into all of this in the next couple of weeks, guys.
Yeah, and they're playing much, much better than they were at the beginning of the year. They've discovered their running game with Odie. I think that they're a threat to Riverdale right now to move up into that spot.
The real big thing we have to watch here, and I believe it did play a little bit of a factor in that Stewart's Creek win last Friday. Rockville's starting quarterback, I believe he had believe he fractured his leg against Nolensville, out for the season. That is a huge loss for the Rocket football team. That could have them, honestly, unfortunately for them, they could tumble out of the playoffs here. I believe they still have to play. They have to play Riverdale and Blackman, I believe.
Blackman and Oakland.
Blackman and Oakland
left.
Yeah, Blackman and Oakland left.
So it's going to be tough sledding for them in the last month of the season.
Yeah, I was there. It was a ugly injury, and it was unfortunate. They've got a young sophomore in at quarterback now. He's got some talent, but again, he's just young. Mm-hmm. He's going to make young mistakes.
Between regions 5 and 6, Beach is in control in region 5. The race really is for 2 and 3 in that region to get that other home playoff game. Clarksville knocking off Hendersonville throws a monkey wrench into those plans because now Clarksville kind of has a path to that number 2 seed.
They do if they can pull off a win against the Green Wave, a team that they are 4 and 3. They're 2 and 1 in the region. They have the pieces. We've said all year they've had the pieces. When they make the mistakes, they lose. When they don't, they win. It's that simple for the Green Wave in Region 5. They still have a big game against Clarksville and a big game against Beach coming up.
Well, the thing about Clarksville is that they got their quarterback back after losing him all of last year, and it's taken a while for their offense to really get going. I think we started to see some of that click last week against Hendersonville, and that last game of the season, it looks like a really really interesting matchup.
Yep. Over in Region 6, it's kind of the top four than everybody else. McGavock is 1-2 in region play, but they've been considerably better than the three teams below them. It really comes down to, like we talked about, Cane Ridge and Overton play this week, and then Overton and Smyrna play at the end of the season. So, and McGavock have yet to play too.
I believe that matchup that you're going to get to watch on Thursday, Chris. I believe that if Cane Ridge wins that one, that pretty much locks up the region title for the Ravens.
They would clinch it. Yes, they would.
Yeah.
Big game with Smyrna and Overton coming up towards the end of the year that could determine a home playoff game or going on the road.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Smyrna's got McGavock and Overton, right?
Yep.
Still left on the schedule, so Smyrna could tumble down into that third spot, and lose a home playoff game if they don't manage to hang on over these teams. And let me tell you, I think that Overton Smyrna game is going to be a barn burner.
Yeah, it's going to be a very important one for seeding for sure. And McGavock still factors into this. If they can knock off one of Overton or Smyrna, who knows? Mm-hmm. Region 7, Ravenwood in first place. So you got a three-team tie in second at 2-1 between Centennial, Brentwood, and Independence. And it's really going to be those four that get in the playoffs because Summit and Franklin have yet to earn a region win so far.
Yeah, I know. When you look at that region, Ravenwood, number one right now, Centennial having a great year. Brentwood really flying under the radar with that great defense. You mentioned it on the Scoreboard Show on Saturday. People watch the show and they see a team that's 0-7 down there and they think that they're not even good. That is the best 0-7 football team in the state of Tennessee. And I guarantee that. They've been in every game that they've played this year. But that Ravenwood Centennial game is going to be a good one.
Yep, it certainly will.
Yeah. I think Brentwood's got a little bit easier road to hoe into that. I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but I think that Brentwood's got the inside track based on schedule going into that other home playoff game. But you're right. Franklin's dangerous, and you ignore them at your peril. And they're still on the schedule. So
Brentwood and Centennial week 11.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be probably for number 2.
Yep.
Provided that Ravenwood does what it should.
And I'll say this: I know they've not performed the way we thought that they would, but if I wind up the 1 seed in that Region 8, I don't want to see Independence.
No.
Yeah, for sure. Let's flip over to 5A and look at Region 5, where Mount Juliet's in first place with a 4-0 mark in region play, and they're in position to possibly win that region with a little bit of help if Green Hill should fall.
Yep, a Green Hill loss would pretty much end it and give it to Mount Juliet. If not, we're looking at that Mount Juliet Green Hill game, a huge rivalry game. Schools probably 5 miles apart, if that, for a region title. That's one of us has to be there, in my opinion.
That's a week 11 showdown that may very well be on our radar for a spotlight game, but who knows? We'll see. White County still second at the moment, but without Malachi down, they may be poised to tumble.
Yeah, huge game though at this week, Wilson and Station Camp.
Yep.
For that fourth part. And I'm sorry if I jumped ahead there on you, Chris. But just that jumped out at me as the key game for this region right now.
Yeah, and if Hillsborough can get even a little bit healthier, they may still have something to say about this, but they've got to get some people back.
Yeah, Hillsborough's got White County this week, I believe. So that's a huge one if the Warriors want to make the playoffs, and that's a definite must-have for the Burrows.
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with that Hillsborough defense at all. They've just had so many losses on the offensive side of the ball that it really has really kind of stunted them. If they can get some of those pieces back on the offensive side, they could make a run.
Yep. Over in Region 6, it's all about Page and Nolensville, and that's where I'll be this week on Friday for our spotlight game between the Patriots and the Knights, both 7-0, both 3-0 region play. Winner wins the region. It's simple as that.
Yeah, and that, I know we're going to talk about it later, but that is literally a flip a quarter. and pick one.
We Chris, I'm going to give you credit here. You saw this game. You almost you didn't quite have the guts to put it in pen, but you penciled this game in when we were talking about possible game spotlight games before the season ever started.
Yeah, this one jumped out at me. Sorry, Scott. For really just the way these two teams finished 2021, Nolensville played a lot better down the stretch, and their defense was going to improve, and that's been the biggest change for them. So that's kind of where they are right now, and the offenses for both sides have been great.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing to me how Page recovered, after losing McNamara, and not saying that you replace a player like that, but to be in the same position that they are says loads about Coach Rathbone and his coaching staff.
And about Colin Hurd as well.
Yep.
That quarterback.
Senior stepping up. A kid that played linebacker for him last year, plays linebacker this year as well as playing quarterback. One of the guys that goes under the radar for that Patriot team, though, is Max Collins, and I honestly believe that he is the difference maker for that Patriot offense.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that one this week, or a little bit later on in this show. Flip over to Region 7 and 8, and you've got Henry County and Portland tied for first place with 3-0 marks. Springfield's still sitting there in third, and if Portland can throw a monkey wrench into this, don't count them out.
You can't count them out, but just my opinion, I believe Friday night kind of ticked off Devin Crenshaw, and he was already putting up good numbers. I would not want to play the Yellow Jackets.
And I'd say I guarantee you it's not sitting well with Dustin Wilson and his defense. But
I think they would take the alternative as to what happened last year when they beat Henry County in the regular season and lost in the playoffs. They'll take a flip script in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I was about to say I think that they'll see him again, and it'll be interesting to see if they can flip the script there.
Moving on to 4A with Region 4 and that wild race for first. We talked about Macon County and DeKalb County. We've mentioned this region, and it is those four teams. They're going to make it. It's just a matter of what order they're going to finish in. And if Macon doesn't beat Stone, they're going to wind up on the road in the first round just because they'll have two region losses.
It'll be a whole lot clearer on Saturday morning when we're looking at this.
Yes.
Huge test for DeKalb against Upperman. Stone's in the driver's seat. If Stone wins Friday night against Macon, I believe they wind up winning the region.
Yeah, and they could clinch it with a DeKalb County loss too if they beat Macon.
Yeah, because DeKalb's the only region school left after Macon right on their schedule. So
yep.
And don't sleep on that Upperman team. That Upperman team, they got a couple losses, but. They're a good football team with one of the best duo running backs in the state.
Yep.
Anybody who's sleeping on that Upperman team gave 8 votes to Mount Juliet Christian.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Maybe we may have cracked the code, guys. Solved the mystery of where those votes came from. Over in Region 5, with Procone, Marshall County, and Greenbrier all unbeaten, and they all have to play each other in October. So that's the number one story out of that region. Number 2 is between Creekwood and Lawrence County for 4th.
Yeah, and that Creekwood team kind of came out of nowhere this year. A team that sort of similar to Brentwood has a really good, sneaky good defense, playing a lot of low-scoring games. I think the Red Hawks have a chance to get in the playoffs here.
Yep. And this Pearl Cone team, they start off the season with 2 losses and that had to just stick in their craw. I mean, you look at their defensive numbers in region, they've only allowed 14 points. This game coming up with Marshall County is going to be very, very interesting to see how Pearl comes out with this team. Do they come out, do they still have that edge? Do they still have that anger in them that they had once they got through the first 2 games, which were against very good teams?
Yeah, don't be surprised if that one turns into a shootout, guys. I know with Marshall County not being in the area, that won't be a top 10 game, but it could be if they were in our area. Uh, the Teak kid, their quarterback from Marshall County, can sling it all over the field. It's going to be a big test for Percone's defense. I do look for the Firebirds to be able to put points on the board in a hurry, uh, but that should be a really good ball game to watch on Friday night.
Yep.
And
Go ahead, Scott.
well, I was just going to say, and down the road you've got it's if the Pearl wins this game, then down the road you've got a interesting matchup, probably between Greenbrier and Marshall County on the last game of the season, last week of the season.
Yep. Quick look at 3A here. Cannon County, the only team of any consequence in our area in this group, fighting to stay at that number 3 spot and keep out of 4th. Right now, it's not been a great run for them, but they've still got a couple of games to try to make up a little bit of ground.
They're in the playoffs. I mean, ultimately, that's everybody's goal at the year to get to the ultimate prize. You have to make the playoffs. They're in the playoffs with that win over Grundy County. I believe that Cannon. I don't believe they fall any lower than they are right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can make up ground and beat. I believe they've already lost to Squatchy, and I believe they've played Giles the last game of the year, if I'm not mistaken.
The win over Grundy gets them in. It'll lock their place in because Grundy can only tie them. And then they wouldn't be able to win any tiebreakers against Cannon County. So they're in good shape for the postseason. Now, over regions 5 and 6, a little different story. East Nashville and Smith County on a collision course for that Week 11 game in Carthage. Maplewood sitting there 3rd.
Yeah, Maplewood, they're one of those teams that they were really turning that program around pretty quickly, a whole lot quicker than what a lot of people thought. Jackson County and Stratford still to play at some point here in the season. That's going to be determined that 4th spot. But that Smith, at the start of the year, I thought Smith County could keep that game close and maybe win it against East Nashville. But the way the Eagles have been playing, man, it's tough to even consider that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell you what, Coach Eric Davis has done a tremendous job with Maplewood Panthers, getting them to where they are. They don't, but he's got some wood to chop the last 3 weeks. He's got East Nashville, Clarksville, and Cane Ridge. So these guys are going to go into the playoffs if nothing else, honed and sharpened or dull and beat up. But he's done a tremendous job. But, I don't know that East Nashville, they just keep doing what they do. And, it's a team that I don't want to say that they're not talked about enough. I don't think that anybody undersells them. You just don't. I think that they just go out and do their business. And that's what they've been doing. And people are used to it.
What I've seen from this East Nashville team, there's teams that make a run and make it to the state championship game and they lose to a team like Alcoa, and they're content with taking home a silver ball. But what I've seen from this East Nashville team, I don't think those guys were happy with that silver ball. They want more, and they are definitely going to do everything they can do to get another shot at the Tornadoes.
They won't be content with another silver ball, I can tell you that much. And I'll say this. It's not a given that Alcoa wins it. Not at all. The way the Tornadoes have slipped a little bit this year, even though they're still number 1, that game's a lot closer than people think.
Yeah, they've definitely showed some weakness. I think this East Nashville team, I think that game's a lot closer. And I don't know that East Nashville's not the better team.
We'll see. Hopefully, we may get a chance to see that in December in Chattanooga. Over in Region 6, it's about Fairview and Waverly for that number 1 spot. They'll play in Week 11. White House and Sycamore holding down 3rd and 4th right now. And Cheatham County still in that conversation as well for a playoff spot.
Yes, Sycamore and Cheatham play this week in a game that could determine that 4th spot. The matchup that I'm looking forward to, though, is that Fairview-Waverly game. It's going to determine this region. Fairview is another one of those teams kind of flying under the radar. They have 2 losses, but look who their losses are to.
Yeah.
that Fairview team's not nothing to play with. I think that they're probably a slight favorite over Waverly for the region for me. But both of those teams are going to be there. Whoever draws that, let's see, that would be the 1 seed. Whoever wins that region is going to have a tough draw with Smith County.
Yeah.
But that's going to be the closer game out of the two between who winds up playing East Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a fun matchup. Chris Hughes and his Fairview Yellow Jackets against Smith County, and Matt Dyer, his Owls. It would be a really interesting contrast in styles. I'm a Chris Hughes fan. I always have been. He's to me, he's a very innovative mind. It's fun to watch his teams play. But it's going to be tough. That Waverly team's got a lot riding with them, given what they went through last year. This team has a real chance to make a mark, and they've already picked that community up. The community's already rallied around them. But how big would it be for them to win this region after going all through that last year?
Yeah, if East Nashville wins Region 5, whoever wins Region 6 would get to host them in the quarterfinals. That's big.
That's big.
All right, over in 2A, Region 4 is what we talked about a lot. Just to look at the numbers, East Robertson and Westmoreland. That's next Friday, our spotlight game, as we mentioned earlier in the show. Harpeth and Watertown 3rd and 4th. See Wise Creek and Charlottesville County outside looking in.
Yeah, it's a big game this week between Harpeth and Watertown. Is going to determine 3 and 4 more than likely. Have to give the edge to the Tigers in that one. But huge game on the 14th, as we announced earlier, spotlight game of the week, East Robertson versus Westmoreland at the Rock Pile. That's going to be a good one, but I know they're not in our area, but guys, it's going to be hard for anybody to beat Tyner.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at Harpeth for a minute. I mean, how about those Indians? They played themselves into a good spot here, and regardless of whether they get beat by Watertown, they've beaten Whites Creek and Trousdale already. Is that
they're in?
Much, they're in.
They're
in. How long has it been? I mean, since Harpeth has been in, the normal players are Watertown, Trousdale, Westmoreland, East Robertson. Harpeth not only is in, but they're in a really good spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're going to be third more than likely, even if Watertown beats them. I think that the tiebreaker may come into play here. See, even if Trousdale County does win its last 2 games, tiebreaker may hurt them.
The only way Trousdale gets in is if Harpeth would have to beat Watertown, and then Trousdale beat Whites Creek and Watertown, and then Trousdale would come in as the 4th spot.
Yep.
Watertown wins, and Watertown's in the 3 spot unless they were to lose to Trousdale County.
Yep. It's a lot of math involved, but it'll sort itself out.
I was going to say, I got a headache.
4 weeks. Quick look at 1A real quick. Gordonsville sitting there in 2nd place. They've only played 1 region game. There's only 4 teams, and they're all going to the postseason. Red Bowling Springs is going to be 4th.
Yeah, that week 11 game between Gordonsville and Clay County should be a good one.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that Gordonsville team is getting better every week. I think that Clay County is a stout team. That's going to be a game right there for the region championship. It's going to be
bigger in the fact that the winner of that region would get to host every playoff game before the championship.
Oh, that would be
and not only that, they would also have the courtesy of having the 2 seed go bang up on South Pitt before they came to the 1 seed.
Yep. So there could be a door open right there with a little bit of help.
Yep.
Let's see. Eagleville's region over in 1A. They're currently 3rd right now. Fayetteville in control of that one. Moore County and Cornersville currently occupying the other 2 playoff spots.
Yeah, those 1 seeds on both of those regions are you don't want to play them.
Division II Single A. In the East, Friendship Christian and Middle Tennessee Christian. They'll tangle in Week 11 on Thursday nights for that region title. That's going to be a doozy between those two. In the middle region, it's DCA and Nashville Christian in first and second right now. They also have a Week 11 game against each other.
And
Great
both
stretch.
of those, you talk about teams getting better, guys.
Yeah.
Both of those teams, by the time Week 11 gets here, that's going to be another dandy of a game.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Coach Wade, how he splits those seasons up into thirds, right? Well, he got through they survived the first 3 games. The next 3 games they got better. Now it's about taking this thing and getting in, not only getting in the playoffs but doing something with it. And he's brought those young kids along. It's going to be a really tough battle between Nashville Christian and DCA, but I think the winner of that is going to be a really tough out for whoever comes out of the East.
Yep. Double A, it's pretty cut and dry with only one region to look at. Lipscomb Academy in first, FRA in second by virtue of their win at CPA. The Lions are third, Good Pasture fourth, and Davidson Academy occupies that final playoff spot in fifth. BGA looking like it's going to be a lost season for them.
I believe that one's pretty much as far as which teams are in. I believe that one's pretty much settled, right? BGA's already lost to Davidson, Good Pasture, and
Have to double
Lipscomb,
check.
right?
They do have to play 2 more region games, so there's still. We'll have to double check that.
BGA still has FRA and Lipscomb on the schedule.
Okay, yeah. So Good Pasture and Davidson Academy, they're not mathematically in yet, but they're all but in.
Yeah.
In AAA, it's NBA and Baylor and tied for first in the East with Pope Prep, McCauley, and Knoxville Catholic 3, 4, and 5 in that region. Father Ryan is 6th, and every team makes the playoffs here, so there's no cut line to worry about. Ensworth and Brentwood Academy, both 3-0 in the West.
Yeah, I'm still, that Ainsworth is a team flying under the radar, but that Brentwood Academy team is a team I don't want to play. A team that played NBA to 14 points, and Deuce Scott and George McIntyre, that offense for the Eagles is just going to get better. They're a team I don't want to see in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, that is a look at the standings as they currently are going into week number 8. Before we go any further, let's get a bit from Innovate Medical. All right, guys, you know what time it is. Time to pick some winners. Who you got? Okay, after 7 weeks, it's about as close as we can get it at the top. 4 of us can have a blanket thrown all over us, and we wouldn't get any separation.
Wow.
Scott, I'm right there. I'm coming for you.
That's fine. The cat beat me this week. That's going to cost me some kibble.
The cat beat some of y'all this week. It wasn't just you. Reggie's had a good little run lately. He's had a nice little season so far.
He's getting better at this, son.
Yeah, he's not still within 10 games of first place. I'm sure he'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll look at last week's picks real quick. We split on the Riverdale and Siegel. Most of us had Cambridge over Smyrna except for Cam. We mostly had FRA over CPA except for Scott and the fans. They missed on that one. And then the second page, McGavick and Overton, we split on that one. So not a lot of losses to talk about, which is a good thing at this point of the year. All right, just look at our full season standings right there, and
could have been worse.
Hey, I gained.
Y'all were worried about the numbers this week, and
I thought it was going to be like 500.
Yeah, I did too.
They're not nearly as bad as you thought. So, getting toward that 300 win mark is always fun.
Look at Tom coming in there with 8 told you so's.
Yep. He's hit him this year. Unfortunately, he's still sitting in 4th right now. Scott called Knoxville Catholic's win over Father Ryan last week. Tom had Wilson Central over White County, and Cam, you called Eagleville's win last week. So good job on those. Told you so. I don't care about them. I'm in first place. I don't care about them. Let's get to the picks. Lebanon and Mount Juliet kick us off on Thursday night. That Wilson County rivalry. Tom's got Mount Juliet, and the rest of us have the Blue Devils. Let's go a little bit quick in this round. Scott, I want you to take this one.
Yeah, I just think that after stumbling out of the gate, Mount Juliet's averaged about 38.4 points a game. They found their running game. They're creating turnovers, but I think Lebanon needs this game worse than the Golden Bears, and they need to win convincingly if they're going to believe they can play with the teams they're going to face in the playoffs. Their 2 losses were very close. Mistakes just killed them. I think Coach Gentry gets them turned around this week.
All right. Oakland at CPA on Thursday night. And Reggie's going to grab the Lions, spoken like a true cat. And everybody else is on Oakland. Cam, take this one.
Yeah, just way too much Patriots in this one. That offense is rolling. They got weapons all over the field. Last year it was 2 guys and they were superstars, Division I guys. This year they got dudes everywhere, and they're sophomores, they're juniors, they're seniors. When is the dynasty going to end for the Patriots? Who knows? Because they're still unbeatable, it seems like.
Yep. All right. Overton at Cane Ridge also Thursday night. We've all taken Cane Ridge. Now, I will say this was the hardest game of the week for me to pick because I did heavily think Overton could win this game, but it all depends really for me. If Juice Majors comes back, then he tips the scales for me in their favor, but I'm just not sure at this point. So I went with the Ravens in this one.
Yeah, I learned my lesson last week.
Franklin at Brentwood. We talked about this one. Franklin, yes, they're 0-7, but no, they've been close in every game. Reggie seems to think this may be the week they spring an upset and get win number 1.
Well, I mean, they very well could. I mean, the Franklin is improving every week, much better than their 0-7 record shows. And not many teams have played as hard a schedule as they have, and they've nearly pulled the upset. Reggie may be right here. They got a good quarterback in Brewer Wilson. They just got to find a way to run the ball. I think Reggie, I think he thinks that they're going to be able to stay with the Bruins.
Yeah, perfect recipe. Both teams have really good defenses. Could be a really low-scoring game, but I went Bruins.
All right. Greenbrier, Creekwood. This one, Tom's going with Creekwood, but the rest of us are on the Bobcats. Cam, why don't you get this one?
Another defensive battle, guys. I just like what Tavarius Flood brings to that Greenbrier offense. I believe he will be the most dynamic player on the field for both teams. I just think they score more than Creekwood in a low-scoring game.
To the next page, it's NBA and Ensworth. We've talked about those 2 teams, both unbeaten in their particular regions. This is a non-region game, but still a big one for both. But we all like NBA this week. Scott?
Yeah, I mean, you show me a flaw in this Big Red team, and I'll show you a coach that will address it. I don't think they have one. Marcel Reed, gets the spotlight, but I think the addition of Jonathan Moore has made all the difference. And their defense is just amazing. I think that Ensworth can stay with them. They do a good job of throwing the ball, and they have they're effective with Martez Cooksey. If they protect more, they got a chance to punch NBA in the mouth. But I think the depth of the Big Reds is going to be a factor in this game.
All right. Ravenwood at Centennial. Will Chris Parson be available for the Raptors this week? We don't know yet. If he isn't, that may give an opening to the Cougars. We are still taking Ravenwood, however, in this one. Cam?
Yeah, the surgence of Carter Pace is enough for me. If Parson can't go, I think that Pace has a big night for the Raptors. Could be closer than what a lot of people think, but I still like Ravenwood by at least a couple scores.
Chris, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Scott.
I was just going to say, how you had the Overton game, said it was the toughest game you had to pick. Yeah. This was mine.
There you go. Let's not forget about Cartua Chapman for Ravenwood. Kind of Carter Pace's running mate in the backfield there. He should get some more carries too if Parson can't go. Springfield at Beach. This one was also tough because this could be a very good. This could be even the best game of the week in my opinion. I'm going with the Buccaneers, and so is Cam, Scott, Tom, and Reggie. All have Springfield. Scott, why don't you give me that one?
Well, I think Springfield having that loss. Cam said it earlier. This is not the week you want to be playing Springfield. I think both teams have great defenses. To me, Devin Crenshaw is the difference because the Springfield offense is multifaceted, whereas Beach really wants to run the ball. I just think that right now the keys for Beach is going to be to contain him, Crenshaw, and forcing bad throws. I don't think that's easily done. I'm going with Springfield.
I feel like this Beach team may be a little bit underrated and maybe a little bit disrespected at times too, and this may be the week for them to show it.
Yeah,
that's not going
physical matchup here, guys.
Yeah, Scott, you're gonna have a good one up there Friday night.
Yep.
Station camp at Wilson Central, one of those key games that might determine 3 and 4 in that region, and we are all taking the Bison over the Wildcats. Cam, why don't you get me with this one?
Luke Dickens and that defense for Station Camp. Wilson Central got a big win last week over White County, but I really just think that senior leadership and the running game for the Bison is going to be too much for the Wildcats.
All right. On to the spotlight game. It's Page and Nolensville, both 7-0. Number 1 against number 4 in Class 5A. And Scott's going with Page, and the rest of us are taking the Knights, except for one. Reggie, what we got?
Let him go. Reggie, where are you going? He likes that one. Does he like that one? Come on, Reg. I think he's made his selection, and he has. And he has chosen the Page Patriots to defeat the Nolensville Knights. Thank you, Reggie.
You have company, as Reggie is taking Page over Nolensville.
Yeah, I think that this was another really tough game to pick. And you go, you go all the way down to looking at, the teams that they played and things like that. Bottom line is, I think Page is a more experienced team. I think that, they've got, and really that's it for me. The senior leadership on this team, I think, is the main thing that put me over the top for Page.
Yeah. This was the toughest game for me this week. I leaned Nolensville for 2 reasons. Number one reason is the reason why most people pick teams in a close game. They're at home. And the second reason, I mentioned Max Collins earlier, but that Nolensville secondary is a really good secondary for high school football. I look for them to possibly get a couple turnovers from Colin Hurd and the Knights to sneak away with a win.
I remember covering that playoff game at Page last year and seeing the looks on the faces of some of those players when they lost to Page. And that was a look that said, we're not losing to them again. And that's the thing that stuck with me in the offseason and in the preseason when we were picking games and picking teams to win the region. And I leaned Nolensville because of that. And they've lived up to my expectations and then some. Offensively, they're as talented as anybody in 5A. Defensively, they've made the biggest improvement of anybody that's even considered a contender. Page is a very good football team, and they're number 1 for a reason. And this is going to be a very good ball game, and I'm excited to see it. But for me, I'm going with the home team, just like Cam said. I'm taking the Knights. All right, let's review it real quick. It's Tom picking Mount Juliet over Lebanon. The rest of us are on the Blue Devils. Reggie has CPA over Oakland. We're all on the Patriots. That actually is Cane Ridge. I did not pick Overton. So just FYI, that's a miss on my part. We all have Cane Ridge over Overton. Reggie's got Franklin over Brentwood. The rest of us have the Bruins. And Tom's got Creekwood over Greenbrier. And the rest of us are on the Bobcats. On to page 2. We've all got NBA over Ensworth, Ravenwood over Centennial, Station Camp over Wilson Central. Cam and I have Beach over Springfield, and the rest have the Yellow Jackets. And Reggie and Scott are taking Page, and the rest of us have Nolensville. And that is as much damage as we can do in who you got. Guys, before we get out of here, let's get a final word for both of you. Scott, why don't you take it?
Okay. Well, everybody fall has arrived. So let's all thank the good Lord for flannel. Long sleeves, hot chocolate, denim, downy comforter sleeps, and pumpkin spice dreams. The misty breath of the signal caller floating up into the lights, coaching staffs and pullovers, except for those crazy defensive coordinators who always seem to be in short sleeves. Fall's here. It means football is getting good. So go out, put on your coveralls, put on your local team sweater, get your beanie, and go out and enjoy it because, by gosh, it is fall football weather.
Yeah, I agree. Not only is fall here weather-wise, but once it gets October, late October, it also means region championship time. And there's several matchups here over the next 3 or 4 weeks that will determine region champions, and that goes a long way in playoff seeding. And if you play at home or go on the road in the playoffs, and it's a whole lot easier to win at home in the playoffs than it is on the road. Go out and root for teams in your area, and go out and watch good high school football games that actually are starting to mean something now.
Scott, I didn't know you would go wax poetic on us, but I'll forgive you for that. No, honestly, all kidding aside, it's a great time for football, and these games do matter. It's fun to always see how these playoff races shape up in September and October and how they end up before November comes along. And when you get to week 11, it's really cold. It's a lot of fun, and it's always a great time to be a high school football fan around this area because these games are getting really good. A lot of great matchups in the last month, and I'm happy to be a part of a team helping bring that to you. Make sure and get out to a game. If you see one of us, say hi. We're not robots. Well, at least I try not to be. But obviously, we want to have a good time bringing this to you, and we enjoy it, and we thank all of you for tuning in to the Midstate 48 powered by Miracle Auto Group. Before we go, best wishes to Tom Duggan and his family. Some health issues with his family, and obviously all the thoughts and prayers go to him and his family before we head out. For Tom, for Cam Reed, for Scott Burton, I'm Chris Brooks. We will see you at a game on Thursday and Friday night. Make sure you can come up and say hi to us. We'll also see you Saturday morning at the Scoreboard Show and right back here this time next week. It is the Midstate 48 powered by Miracle Auto Group. We'll see you then. Take care.